Welcome to this comprehensive exploration of Lightworkers, inspired by the profound teachings of Dolores Cannon. Lightworkers are individuals who have a special purpose to bring light, positivity, and healing to the world. They often feel a deep sense of mission and have a strong desire to make a positive impact. In this video, we will delve into the characteristics, challenges, and benefits of being a Lightworker, and provide practical advice for navigating this unique path. Things Lightworkers hate. Emotional overload. Lightworkers are highly sensitive and empathetic individuals. They often absorb the emotions of others, which can lead to emotional overload. This sensitivity is both a gift and a challenge. It allows them to deeply connect with others and provide genuine support, but it can also leave them feeling drained and overwhelmed. Lightworkers often struggle with emotional overload because they feel emotions more intensely than others. This can be particularly challenging in environments where there is a lot of negativity or emotional turmoil. It's important for Lightworkers to learn techniques to protect their energy and manage their emotions effectively. Daily bustles and noisy crowds. The hustle and bustle of daily life and noisy crowds can be particularly distressing for Lightworkers. They often seek peace and quiet to recharge and connect with their inner selves. Crowded places can be overstimulating and can drain their energy quickly. Lightworkers thrive in environments where they can find solitude and tranquility. Nature, in particular, can be very rejuvenating for them. It's important for Lightworkers to carve out time in their day to retreat from the chaos and find moments of stillness. Violence and horror. Violence and horror, whether in real life or in media, are deeply unsettling for Lightworkers. They are naturally inclined towards peace and harmony, and exposure to violence can have a profound negative impact on their well-being. This sensitivity to violence often drives Lightworkers to advocate for peace and justice. Lightworkers are often drawn to careers and activities that promote peace and healing. They may feel a strong calling to work in fields such as counseling, healthcare, or social justice. It's important for Lightworkers to surround themselves with positivity and to limit their exposure to violent and disturbing content. But what triggers a Lightworker? Inability to say no. Lightworkers often struggle with setting boundaries and saying no. Their natural inclination to help and support others can lead to them taking on too much and neglecting their own needs. This inability to say no can result in burnout and exhaustion. Learning to set healthy boundaries is crucial for Lightworkers. It's important for them to understand that saying no is not a sign of weakness, but rather a necessary step to protect their energy and well-being. By setting boundaries, Lightworkers can ensure that they have the energy and resources to help others in a sustainable way. Dishonesty and deception. Lightworkers value honesty and integrity. They are often deeply troubled by dishonesty and deception, whether it's in their personal relationships or in the larger world. This sensitivity to dishonesty can make them excellent truth seekers and advocates for transparency and authenticity. Dishonesty and deception can be particularly triggering for Lightworkers because they see the potential for goodness in everyone. When faced with dishonesty, they may feel a deep sense of betrayal and disappointment. It's important for Lightworkers to surround themselves with honest and trustworthy individuals. Getting upset over small things. Lightworkers are highly attuned to their surroundings and can get easily upset over seemingly small things. This heightened sensitivity can sometimes make them appear overly sensitive or reactive, but it's simply a reflection of their deep connection to their environment. Small things that might go unnoticed by others can have a significant impact on Lightworkers. This could be anything from a harsh word to a negative atmosphere. It's important for Lightworkers to develop coping strategies to manage their sensitivity and to practice self-care regularly. How to deal with being a Lightworker. Managing anxiety and depression. Anxiety and depression are common challenges for Lightworkers. Their heightened sensitivity and empathy can make them more susceptible to these conditions. However, there are many strategies and tools available to help Lightworkers manage their mental health effectively. It's important for Lightworkers to seek support when needed. This could be through therapy, support groups, or talking to trusted friends and family. Additionally, practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and yoga can be very beneficial in managing anxiety and depression. Protecting against energy vampires. Energy vampires are individuals who drain the energy of those around them. Lightworkers, with their abundant positive energy, are often targets for energy vampires. Learning to recognize and protect against energy vampires is crucial for maintaining their well-being. One of the best ways for Lightworkers to protect themselves is by setting strong boundaries. This can include limiting time spent with energy vampires and using visualization techniques to create a protective energy shield. It's also important for lightworkers to regularly cleanse their energy, which can be done through practices such as smudging, salt baths, or spending time in nature. Choosing between going out and staying in. Lightworkers often face the dilemma of choosing between going out and socializing or staying in and recharging. While they enjoy connecting with others, they also need plenty of time alone to recharge and connect with their inner selves. Finding a balance between socializing and alone time is key for lightworkers. It's important for them to listen to their intuition and honor their need for solitude. This might mean declining social invitations or setting aside specific times for socializing and recharging. Benefits of being a lightworker. Career satisfaction. Lightworkers often find it difficult to stay in jobs that they do not love or that do not align with their values. They are driven by a deep sense of purpose and need to feel that their work is meaningful. This can lead them to pursue careers that are fulfilling and aligned with their spiritual mission. Lightworkers are often drawn to careers that involve helping others, such as counseling, teaching, healthcare, and social work. These careers allow them to make a positive impact and fulfill their sense of purpose. It's important for lightworkers to follow their passion and find work that aligns with their values. Being good listeners. One of the greatest strengths of lightworkers is their ability to listen deeply and empathetically. They are natural healers and counselors, providing a safe space for others to share their thoughts and feelings. This makes them excellent friends, partners, and colleagues. Being a good listener allows lightworkers to form deep and meaningful connections with others. It also enables them to provide valuable support and guidance. This ability to listen deeply is a gift that lightworkers bring to their relationships and their work. Always there for others. Lightworkers are often the ones that others turn to in times of need. They are dependable, compassionate, and always ready to lend a helping hand. This sense of responsibility can sometimes be overwhelming, but it is also a source of great fulfillment. Being there for others is a central part of the lightworkers' mission. They have a deep desire to help and support those around them. While it's important for lightworkers to take care of themselves, being there for others is a source of great joy and satisfaction. Embracing the lightworker path. In conclusion, being a lightworker is both a gift and a challenge. It requires a deep sense of purpose, a commitment to personal growth, and the ability to navigate the complexities of human emotions and energy. By understanding the unique characteristics and challenges of lightworkers, we can better support them on their journey and recognize the incredible contributions they make to the world. Embracing the path of a lightworker involves a commitment to self-care, setting healthy boundaries, and finding work that aligns with one's values. It also requires a deep connection to one's inner self and a willingness to listen to and follow one's intuition. By embracing these practices, lightworkers can fulfill their mission and make a positive impact on the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey to explore the world of lightworkers. We hope this video has provided valuable insights and inspiration for your own journey. Remember, the light within you is powerful and needed in the world. Embrace it, nurture it, and let it shine.